the overarching point there is he thinks Joe Burrow is eventually going to ask for a trade. Now, two thoughts on that. One is, yes, I could see that happening one day. Let's be honest, if this continues, if you're Joe Burrow, why wouldn't you? I'm great, the team is not. All these other dudes I'm measured against are in the postseason. I'm not. Josh Allen's winning MVPs. I can't because my team stinks. If that continues, not only do I think he would demand a trade, I would demand a trade if I were him, and I fully expect him to. Like, I do not for a second believe that if this and when I say this, missing the playoffs with Joe being excellent. You could say, well, 2023 was really kind of different because Joe got hurt. Fine. But if this continues, them not making the playoffs, which has been a thing for 2 straight years, yes, I fully expect him to ask a trade. I do not think he's just going to play out his contract and shake everybody's hand after the last game of the 2029 season and go, okay, well, it was real. Now I'm hitting free agency. Here I go. Like, no, there's going to be noise. Everything you've watched or heard from Joe Burrow over the last couple of months, I think would tell you there's a very good chance that if this continues, he asks for a trade. But I also think some stuff would have to happen before he'd ask for a trade. Carson Palmer didn't wake up one day and go, you know what, I want out. He had the benefit of time and perspective. He had a chance to watch the team around him. He had a chance to see them try to recapture what happened in 2005 and to a degree what happened in 2009 when they had division-winning teams. He saw the team's inability to replace players that he had success with early. I mean, think of all the players that left from the 05 team that they really struggled to replace, including TJ Hushmanzada. He saw what was a really good offensive line turn into one that wasn't so good. Like he watched sort of the circus act with all the players who got arrested at that time. Unfortunately, that's not really a thing now. He gave a chance to the Chad and T.O. show. Like that didn't really work out. Like he watched, he gave it time. He got exasperated. He did what he did. He also asked for changes. The Carson Palmer Football Life on NFL Network, he outlines what he asked Mike Brown for. So what I think is the next step here, and look, none of us want this, right? What we want is for the Bengals to win the Super Bowl next season. Now, we could argue, we could have debates about the best way for that to happen, and that's kind of what makes the T. Higgins thing fun. That's what makes the Trey Hendrickson thing fun. There's no one way to do it. Everybody's in love with the Eagles blueprint right now, and so am I. But if the Bengals win the Super Bowl next year, I don't care if T. Higgins is playing wide receiver. I don't care if Bertie Higgins is playing wide receiver. How's that for a modern reference? We're all going to be happy if they win. And if they win, Joe is not only probably not going to ask for a trade, he may start to think about playing the rest of his career in Cincinnati. Who knows? So some time is going to pass. But if time passes, more time passes, and we are in 10 and a half months, watching the playoffs unfold and Joe Burrow isn't in them, my guess is there's going to be some stuff. If there's stuff now, why wouldn't there be after another year? Especially if he's awesome again and the team wastes his awesomeness, including maybe them making the playoffs and wasting his awesomeness. I'd be cognizant of this if I were Duke Tobin. Frankly, if I were Zach Taylor. Are you really going to believe that Joe Burrow would stop short of ever demanding the Bengals make significant changes to their front office structure? They may say no. You think Joe Burrow wouldn't flex his muscle and say, you know what? I've worked with Zach Taylor now for a while. Might be time for someone else. I know right now Zach has Joe's full public endorsement, and I believe that public endorsement is a genuine one. But that's where things are now. If we get to a year from now and more of the same, just can't build the team properly around him, however they try it, and Joe is having to not win an MVP despite putting up MVP numbers, and he's got to watch other quarterbacks who he's as good at, and in most cases better than, play in the playoffs, and he's on the outside looking in, you don't think he's going to ask for there to be changes? Not additions, necessarily, but changes. Like, all right, we've tried it with this Duke Tobin dude. Ain't working. What else you got? Or, know what? We've tried it with this Zach Taylor cat. We've had a lot of success. Guess what? Not working. What else you got? I think this is a maniacally competitive guy. I think this is a guy who understands where he is in his career. It's time to start winning championships. If he's still not close, and let's be honest, this year's team was not close. They had to win their last 5 games to finish with one more victory than loss. If he continues to be not close, we think he's just going to shrug his shoulders and go, we'll get him next year. Dude is making as much noise as I've ever heard a Cincinnati pro athlete make. Legitimately, I don't think you can find an athlete we've had here in town who has made as much. He's not doing it in an obnoxious manner. He's not calling anybody out. He's not calling names. He's not being cryptic on social media. He's being an adult. He's answering fair questions with good answers, well thought out answers. He could not be more adult about this. It's above board. It's public. Dude he's not hiding behind an agent. He's telling you what he wants. And again, man, this may have the result we're all looking for. And it might have the result we're all looking for with T. Higgins or without, or with Trey Hendrickson or without. I think Joe will react to the results, not how they achieve the results, as long as the results are good. So you might hear that from Colin Cowherd and go, he's just being a Bengals hater. All right. You mean to tell me you think if this continues, that at some point he's not going to go, look, man, get me out of here.